All right, everybody, welcome back to Stinker, Drinker, Thinker. We are three guys. We pour some pours. We make some cocktails, and we rank them in our own very little special way. It's a world-renowned ranking system we have developed known as the Stinker, Drinker, Thinker. It's not numerically based. We don't have little pieces of paper. We don't have smell kits, even though we did try that one time, and it went terrible. We just tell you the God's honest truth. A little disclaimer that we always throw out there, and I'm going to change some statistics in this disclaimer.
Oh, boy.
We speak in absolutes 100% of the time here. 60% of the time, we're wrong.
Only 60?
Only 60% of the time, and that's because, you know, you were too busy, but me and Troy went and educated ourselves a bit. So,
so with the power...
boosted us to 20%. Up 20%.
Yeah, up 20%.
I was going to say, with the power of editing, we are 60% correct.
Yeah, without that. Oh, God.
Yes. Anyway, I am Anthony Longano. I am joined here by my two beautiful friends, Troy, the Body of Glotty. Troy, say hello.
Hello.
And Matt McKibble. Matt, say hello.
Hello.
Beautiful. I say hello. Matt says hello.
I say hello. You says hello.
Hello.
We're not fucking doing that here. We're just not doing that here. A little recap. Last week's episodes, we were joined by our good friend, Lindsay Nielsen, who was kind enough to make us some cocktails, and we got to taste the new Four Roses Limited Edition Small Batch 2020 release. If you haven't checked that one out, definitely go back and give it a listen. If you're able to get your hands on that bottle, it's worth it. Definitely pick it up at a cool $189 or $179 or whatever it was. If you can find it in the secondary market, I think we all said probably $250, $300 is probably worth a pretty penny that you'd pay for it. It tastes old, it tastes long, and it tastes great. And then we did a little Cocktail Doctor episode with an entry from our good friend, Fran. We ended up making some good smoked Black Manhattans. All that's available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen. Also on our YouTube channel, where we're making a huge push to bump up subscribers there. We're doing pretty good. We've gotten a ton of views lately, too. Troy thinks it's funny.
No, I just remembered the Fran Hatton and just...
The Fran Hatton, yes. Is that what we ended up calling it? The Fran Hatton?
You better believe it.
You better believe it.
So yeah, make sure you're hitting those thumbs up, so subscribe, sharing with your friends, 5-star reviews, or kill your family, all that stuff that we've done before. Matt just got back from his literal 9th vacation in the last 4 days.
I got one more coming up next week, too.
Yeah, where you're going to Virginia now?
Yep.
And that's a suitcase trip, right?
Again?
An empty suitcase trip. Yeah.
Yep.
Where are you going?
Oh man, I don't even know where we're going. But we have tours booked at A. Smith Bowman and at Virginia Distilling Company.
That sounds awesome. I bet you're going to clean them out.
Oh boy.
I smell a American Single Malt episode coming very soon.
Coming to a podcast near you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's all ABC run, I think, in Virginia.
Yeah,
so who knows if we'll have anything.
It's very hard down there from what I've heard. I've heard it's like worse than Ohio. And I think we talked about this on an episode one time where it's like, the way they do allocation down there, it's like the government posts on Twitter. It's like, hey, Buffalo Trace allocation getting dropped at this store at this time, and then the whole state rushes to this store.
Terrible. They actually don't even say that. They just say there's an allocated drop here. They don't say what it is, how many. It's just like, good luck. Hope you don't get in a fight in the parking lot.
Yeah, so like you could show up and it could be, Sazerac Rye or EC Barrel Proof, and you drove halfway across the state and probably ran over someone's grandkids and all that. Speaking of grandkids, what are we doing tonight?
That's a segue.
It is.
Is it because we're drinking old whiskey?
No, you'll see why.
Oh, okay. We are going to do two things we picked up recently. One being Little Booka, number 6, and Knob Creek 18, which is a new edition limited 25th or 30th anniversary, Knob Creek.
That's cool.
And I'm excited to find out about the Little Book, honestly, because it seems insane.
It does seem insane, and I'm pretty pumped. Both big, obviously both big name Jim Beam products. The Little Book is quite interesting. I have a bottle of Little Book 5 up there that we tapped into. We haven't opened it since, but it was really good.
Do I have 4 then?
You have 4.
The rice one?
Yeah, you have the rice one.
Did not care for all that much.
So the history there, it's obviously one of the most unique offerings that Jim Beam does. So Booker no, and you guys all know the Bookers. They come in the wooden boxes with the plexiglass panel, and it's all barrel proof, uncut, unfiltered stuff. Booker no was the the grandson-in-law of Jim Beam. So he married Jim Beam's granddaughter, Margaret No. He was the daughter of Jim Beam's He was the son of Jim Beam's daughter, Margaret No. So, I mean, obviously, Jim Beam is like, I think they're in like their 6th generation of families making whiskey there. And this is the first offering by Booker's grandson, Fred No. Freddie No. And it's a pretty interesting take. So obviously we're in the 6th release of it. It's not bourbon. It's labeled. It's a blend of stuff that he does there. Obviously, it's his take on everything. It's a blend of American whiskeys, which is something that Jim Beam has never really done before. So it's very much as much output as that distillery has. It's very much in its own dimension of that distillery. Little Book 5 is great. When I picked it up, Matt was talking shit about it because he had Little Book 4, and obviously that was a maybe a different type of release, but this is all experimental stuff. It's Freddie's first complimented his family name and his first releases at the distillery too, which is kind of cool. But I'm excited to get into this one just because Little Book 5 was awesome. This thing is getting all the rage.
You didn't make it there on your tour, did you?
No, we drove by it every day, and I told Troy, like, if we had time, I would want to go. Funny enough, so like when we got to Bourbon Fest, I don't know if I told this story or not, but when we got to Bourbon Fest, you walk in and you have 2 choices. They hand you a glass. They hand you a miniature Glencairn glass, and it's like and if you guys have never been to the Bardstown Bourbon Festival, it's a trade show for bourbon. So everyone's there, and they have like you walk in, there's a sidewalk that splits it down the middle. On the right side, it's craft distilleries, and then on the left side, it's legacy distilleries and things like that. So bigger name, higher output places. So if you make a left, you're automatically in a line, and you're in a line to go to the Bardstown Bourbon Shop, single barrel shop, right? So it's literally just their barrel picks, and we stood in that line for an hour and a half. But while we were in that line, man, like you're walking through booths. So we tasted Michter's toasted sour mash, which was awesome. We had some very old St. Nick stuff that was really good. Do you remember that stuff?
I do.
That stuff was delicious.
Remember which one?
It was a distillery-only release that they were doing that weekend.
I can look it up because I have a photo of it.
Yeah, it was actually, that was the first time I've ever tasted their product. It was very good.
Interesting.
It was like very good. I've always kind of like gawked at the price tag of those bottles. But anyway, so we were by the James Beam tent, and they were doing a Little Book release, and I didn't want to get out of line. And I think at that point you had texted me and said, "Do you want a Little Book?" And you already had it. So but while we were standing there, and I had a couple whiskeys, and it was hot. It was like fucking 95 degrees that day, and Troy had to go take a leak. There was this guy behind us, good people in front of us, who I think are listeners now. So it was a pleasure meeting you guys. But the guy behind us in line, just wouldn't stop talking the whole time. He was a nice enough guy, but he was just like really into 4-Gate whiskey, and he was just talking about like, hey, and like we would be in the middle of a conversation. We would be talking. Me and Troy would be talking, or we'd be talking to people in front of us or other people, and just like butt in like one of these guys, like, hey. See this picture I took this at 4-Gate. They made me a cocktail with it. Like that type of guy, right? It just like wouldn't stop.
Oh, you know who else doesn't finish like that? 4-Gate.
Yeah, dude, seriously, that's literally any conversation you had with this guy. He would just turn around to 4-Gate whiskey. And
you should ask him if he's ever had 5-Gate. Like, whoa, what is that? Oh my god! Oh my god!
It explodes.
The very old St. Nick was called Resurrection.
Yeah, and it was very good. Distillery only release there. We got a couple distillery releases. One from Town Branch that was a maple stout finished one that is fucking fantastic. That was one of the first offerings I've had from them that I like. But anyway, back to the story. So we're standing in line, and this guy's yapping my ear off, and Troy goes to pee because he couldn't take it anymore. Probably because he's got a weak bladder, and that guy, Troy, you should have peed on that guy. Anyway, and we're standing next to the tent, and like we're finally in the clear. Like I can see the bottles that they have in the bottle shop on display, and I know what I'm going to get at this point. We're like, you reach the finish line. You have 15 people in front of us, and I see this guy. This younger guy just kind of like wobbling, and there's no way he's drunk. Like, no way he's drunk. Like, and if he is, he shouldn't be at a bourbon festival because, like, I mean, I had 3 or 4, and they're mini Glencairn glasses. You know what I mean? Granted, you could order cocktails in line and stuff like that, but like,
sure.
And then he starts leaning on this guy behind him, and the guy's like, "Whoa, dude! Like, what's going on?" And then he just faints. He faints, and his head bounces off the concrete like 2 or 3 times, and like, he didn't start like fencing out or anything like that, but he was knocked out fucking cold, like out cold. And luckily there was 2 doctors in line And I guess in Kentucky, when someone says, because I just started screaming, medic, 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 and a bunch of other people started screaming medic. And then, like, you know, doctors in line, they had his feet elevated. They were dumping cold water on his head. He just passed out from heat and his knees locked up. He didn't, you know, he wasn't drunk or anything. But like apparently when you call the medic in Kentucky, they send the military. Because
wait, what?
Yeah, like do you remember like those 5 like armed forces in uniform AK guys just like walked up to him and were surrounded him while the nice doctor who was in line was taking care of him. And then like they brought like, you know, a spine stretcher out and took him out, but
they're probably all just I'm sure they're all in the military, they're just trained to be medics as well.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but I mean they were showing who's boss at the Bourbon Festival, that's for sure. But anyway, that's you know, that's the closest I got to getting bookers.
All I had to do was walk into a store.
Yeah, but so I mean, let's get into that, or do you want to do the Knob Creek first?
I think you've talked it up now. We should probably just start with it.
We probably should just start with it. And I'm excited about it. Again, all this stuff is barrel proof.
And you know my story about Little Book?
What?
I went to Benny's and I walked in, I saw it in a case and said, "Can I have that?" And they go, "Yep."
Yeah, I mean, that's my story with number 5, too. I walked into Belmont at like 9:30 at night, and the girl just put it on the counter, and I was like, "Can I have that?" And she said, "Yep." So, little bit of a different take. It's the classic Booker's box. It's got Little Book carved into the side, and it's got a black stain, which I like.
So what is chapter 6?
So...
Is it the finished chapter or something?
They did some experimental finishes with the barrels and some staves. But it's a blend of a 4-year malt whiskey finish in cherry wood staves, 4-year straight malt whiskey finish in applewood smoked barrels, 4-year straight malt whiskey finish in hickory smoked barrels, a 4-year straight malt whiskey finished in maplewood staves, and a 5-year Kentucky straight bourbon. And then it's let me see here.
That seems a lot.
It's a lot.
Troy, what do you think about hearing all of that?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, and just like quickly looking at the tasting notes that they put on the tag here.
Don't spoil our fun.
Yeah, this is bottle number 60 or recipe number 63. So, I mean, these bottles are sleek too, and I love Booker's bottles, but this one has a nice like wax seal on it, and
they're a little bit nicer.
They're
than
definitely fancier.
The other Booker's one,
that's for sure. They're definitely fancier. This one's coming in at a very low 117.4, so really not terrible. Compared to like some, I mean,
the Bookers and stuff.
There's last year I think the second quarterly release of the 2022 this year was like 64 or something like that. It was almost hazmat style shit. Troy, you want to give it a pop?
I'd love to.
Troy, would you please though? That's some waxy seals there.
While he's doing that, Jim Beam was one of the only places we didn't go. Again, like I said, we passed every day. I didn't know if I necessarily had like what's enticing about Jim Beam besides like the legacy there. I mean, it's obviously the highest output distillery in America.
So it's Beam Suntory, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it looks so cool. Like from the street, it looked cool. Like you can see like the barn and then all the rick houses up on the hills and the new visitor center.
When I think Jim Beam, I think of like college and like
I just think it's shitty like Basil Hayden's and overmarketing.
Right.
I love a lot of Jim Beam
products. That's what I'm saying. It's weird. Like it's just weird how a brand that has so much history and puts out good releases, typically like Booker's and such, has that like my gut reaction is like, eh.
You know, we should do the subtle smoke on here too, because people
subtle smoke.
Yes, some people seem to like that. I don't know, but I mean, besides Booker's, and I'm sure I can get along with some Jim Beam single barrel. Knob Creek's fine.
Yeah, I'm actually we'll get there.
I'm excited. I'm excited about this one too. We'll get into that one next, but let's hear the.
I think Troy's ready. Oh my god!
Sounds good.
It was a final release. So much pressure built up. Pour it in my glass. Seem to only have one Glen here.
Oh, sorry. I put more underneath the table for you.
Oh boy!
When I cleaned them and brought them down, I had 5 in my hand. That was my second trip down, so I just put them on the table and I forgot to put an extra one out there for you.
That's okay.
Thank you, kind sir.
Can he do it? He's a professional. He's a professional. Goddamn professional over there. Look at that professional. Being so professional.
Wow.
All right.
I'll just start by saying this is probably, you guys know I love Booker's. This is probably the most inviting Booker's smell I've ever got.
I don't know what to expect. Honestly, there's so many different finishes of different smokes and woods and things, and I'm like, I'm just assuming a very complex, dense whiskey, but we'll see.
I'm getting just like hints of like chocolate and stone fruit and like maybe some grape or like some chocolate covered blueberries, dark chocolate covered blueberries.
This smells similar to it has the same note. I don't quite know what it is, if it's hay or something, but it has a similar note to the Jack Daniel's smoked maple or not smoked maple. The
I see what you mean there.
Smoked hickory.
Yeah, it definitely smells very sweet, and then there's a lot of like fresh baked like pastry. I don't even want to say bread. I mean,
it's not bread. It's more hay. It's more straw and like
yeah, I can get that
lighter notes.
It definitely smells like a fall sipper, like.
Crunching leaves beneath your toes.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the tasting
And it doesn't
note.
smell hot at all.
That's the smelling note.
Doesn't really smell hot.
Nice fall day.
I'm sure it's going to fuck me up.
On a nice pumpkin orchard.
Let it sit for a second and let Troy get in there.
It is very apparently not a straight bourbon.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I like. I honestly thought it was going to be.
I just can't stop smelling leaves and hay.
I'm getting putting it back down, and you can definitely get some of that that smoked thing too, which is probably like that hickory thing you're talking about with the Jack Daniel's thing. I think there was a hickory.
I heard apple, maple, and hickory.
Yeah. So there's a 4-year whiskey that's finished in hickory smoked barrels.
It smells like the outside fumes of my Traeger cause I use the Traeger blend.
Yeah.
It just has like pecan and apple and whatever. It smells like I'm smoking something but I'm inside my house.
It's like the undertones are sweet. It's starting to smell like Booker's now. Now that it's kind of opened up a little bit. And Booker's definitely has that grassy thing. This is more of like when the grass dies, fall type of hay, straw, farm type thing. And the big thing, do you guys get any like metal or copper in there at all?
Interesting.
Like wet copper?
I was going more like
a wet penny?
Like sliced almonds, but
all right, let's just get in this motherfucker.
Huh. That is it's a weird aftertaste.
It's still evolving for me.
I'm just
I don't know if weird is the word I would use.
I'm thinking shiny penny now. As I'm tasting it.
Do the under your tongue trick.
I don't know if I physically can.
Just pour it into the gullet of your mouth there. You're not supposed to swish. Why are you swishing? Suck some saliva out.
It's hotter if I do that. I think I'm doing it wrong, Mr. Krabs.
Just enjoy the goddamn whiskey.
I know.
Man. It's thick. It's super viscous. It's like maple syrup meets barbecue sauce. Like, not like maple barbecue sauce or like Southern barbecue. It's more like a Kansas City vinegar style barbecue
more
sauce.
Kansas City, yeah.
Like, it's got a tang to it. Overall, very enjoyable. It transforms immediately. Once you get it on the mid palate, it's got like that that thick viscous maple thing. But when you swallow, the finish like immediately turns into like sweet vinegary smoked love basket. I don't really know.
I love basket.
The proof is hidden perfectly. Does not taste
really. I was going to say maybe it's a tingle, the tang, but
tangle,
the tangle dangle. It's a little bit hits my tongue. I was like, whoa. But
I don't get that. I don't think that's hot at all. I've drank a lot of Booker's. That might be one of the better Booker's offerings I've had. And it's not bourbon.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why. It's whiskeys blended. It's a very good blend. You can tell. It's all interesting stuff, too, especially like stave finished, smoked barrel finished. Obviously, all very uncommon. I love what these distilleries are doing, these like exploration type finishes.
It's way more interesting than...
I mean, you've been doing the same thing for fucking 200 years. Like, it's nice to see it. You know, it's nice to see that in Warehouse C and Buffalo Trace, the whole bottom row is fucking, explore. What do they call it? The
single cast project?
Experimental.
The experimental. Okay. Like, it's literally OFC and then the experimental and all on the bottom. It's weird. Like, a whole floor of a rick house is that stuff. So, like, obviously, lots coming there, but.
I admit I wouldn't blind taste this and call it Jim Beam.
Well, I mean, it's not Jim Beam. If you think about it, they've literally done nothing like this before, right? I mean, it's his bloodline, but it's obviously a very different take on anything they've ever put out over the last bazillion years. So,
bazillion.
It's not Jim Beam.
I mean, you're right. It's Jim Beam. It's distilled there. It's aged there. Whatever.
I think
I'm not scoffing at Jim Beam though.
I genuinely think, as I'm thinking about this now, it's like, do I have a reference for just Jim Beam? I don't think I do. I think we should do an episode where we just try everyday shelfers so I can build a reference for common tasting notes for these distilleries.
We're going to have to.
I have a reference for Jim Beam.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't. We're going to have to do some like core.
I think core line, just so we can get a reference for things, might be a good idea.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to beam it out.
Because at the end of the day, it's all the same shit. It's just fucking different elevations and ages. I will say, and I was trying to think about this, like, what if they did cut this? What if they batched this down? And I just don't think it would be good. Like, I think it's made to be that hot. I really do think, like, if this came in at 101 or something like that, I just don't think it would be as good at all.
I don't know. We could. I'm not gonna do it tonight, but we definitely could do that.
Yeah, we don't have to do it tonight, but
I mean, it's also my first drink of the night, which always feels hot. I'm going back to it. I don't almost say it's like no proof at all. I think I'm just super accustomed to it.
You got to start your podcast off with a little bit of trace, man.
That's what I don't do. I'm for total fresh palate.
Just a little mouth rinse.
Hey, FP is a good way to go.
All I ate was a baguette for dinner, so I'm good to go.
A baguette?
A whole baguette.
Well, you got some crackers. So
a little spaghetti in the baguette.
And we should get to them at some point. Why don't we do a little roundup here?
Well, yeah, so Little Book, Chapter 16. 16. 6?
Chapter 6. Matt, what do you got on?
Wait, you ready?
Yeah.
Little Book, Chapter 6. What do you think?
What do you think? You start.
What do I think? I think...
I'm sorry. Just kidding.
Got him. Troy, what do you think? No.
No.
All right. I couldn't dare. Couldn't possibly. I am going, first of all, I'm just going to rate it a thinker. I think it is on the category of it is interesting and I would want to show people if they came over to try. It's certainly not something I would reach for and grab as a daily drinker. There's probably 100 other things I'd probably grab, honestly, if I was going to sit down and drink with myself. But it is absolutely a cool piece to pull out for friends and people who are interested in whiskey. But yeah, I am going thinker.
It's $140 MSRP. Would you pay the tag?
I think that's what's expected of something like that currently in the whiskey market. Do I like paying that price for it as something I'm just going to like share and show off stuff? Because I'm a collector, yeah. But if I was just like,
so you only hunt this for me, it sounds like.
I would not buy it, but I want you to own it so I can try it.
Yeah, that's fine. And keep buying them every year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it is genuinely interesting enough for me to want to try.
All right, so you got it as a thinker.
Yeah.
Me personally, overall, I think it tastes. This is probably the most elegant I'm gonna ever be on here. I think it tastes quite lovely. I think it's extremely well balanced. I think the finish is awesome. It's not as long as the Four Roses we had last week, but it's a really good evolving finish, especially when you first get it in. I love how it just like the nose is super inviting, the mid palate is perfect, and then it just like it's a nice long little finish there. But overall, I think it's smoky, it's sweet. It's not your classic bourbon notes. It's not your classic Booker notes of like grassy type stuff. It's more like the only real place I'm getting that grass or that earth is on the nose. But once you get it in there, man, it's just like barbecue sauce all day. I kind of dig it. I would probably call it the difference between me and you is I would drink this stuff. Whether like me and Troy, if we had a victory Monday on a Giants game or something like that, like 3-1, baby. By the time you see this, it'll be 4-1.
You think so? Huh?
Yeah, we're gonna. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers is doing with his hair, but he's not gonna have one afterwards. Anyway, yeah. Overall, I would probably, and it's definitely complex enough to think about. I would probably call it a drinker thinker, just because I genuinely would enjoy drinking this. And if I had a long fucking day, especially this time of year, fall, sitting on the porch with a glass of this, I think I'd be happy to take the edge off. And, you can have one of these take the edge off. Would I pay $140 for it? I did. It was $120 last year, Jim. What the fuck? Anyway, no, but I mean, yeah, I think I would. I think I would continue to collect these. I think I would show them off. And I think I'm going to open this one way more than I opened that one. And it would be nice to compare those at some point.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what that one tastes like.
Neither do I. I remember it was good, though. But what do you got, Troy?
Well, I've got a couple of contradictory thoughts in my head. I do like it. I am going to say I'm going to call it a thinker. But the other part of me is convinced that it's a bit of a food whiskey. Like, it's not something extraordinarily palatable by itself. It doesn't necessarily have the sweetness that I want in a bourbon because it's not a straight bourbon, which is fair. And it's high proof, contrary to what Anthony says.
I mean, it's obvious. It says it on the bottle. It's fucking high proof. I just think it's.
No, I know.
I think it hides it well.
Yeah.
I can feel it in my cheeks. That's for sure.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's not like it's not worse than anything I've ever had in terms of proof, but I guess like had I not known of the different combinations of woods that were involved, like the apple and the maple and the hickory and the oak, of course, and all that, I wouldn't have necessarily come to that conclusion. But there is a woodsiness. I don't know how long it's aged, unless you mentioned it and I didn't.
Well, so it's a blend of, I think it's four 4-year bourbon or whiskeys and then 1 5-year bourbon.
It's okay. So not as old as Booker's.
No,
which is interesting. I guess it's maybe why they call it Little Book potentially, or
as Little Book is was
what?
Freddie. It's Freddie No's nickname. That's what his father and Booker used to call him.
Okay.
Little Book. Yeah.
Well, the aging profile sort of it goes hand in hand with that too, but I don't think considering its sort of savoriness and lack of redeeming like candied sweetness qualities, I just don't really see myself drinking it, but it's complex, and I'm sure it'll evolve in the glass over the course of 30 minutes or whatnot. And I really do. The thing about food and whiskey, generally speaking, is the higher the alcohol, the tougher it is to pair those sorts of things with each other. But I'm kind of hopeful based on the flavors and like the different woods and such. But overall, I'm going thinker. I'm intrigued, but I'm not like jumping at the idea of spending $150 on it.
Sure. Well, let's add a new section here.
Okay.
Som pairings. Troy, you have a guest you at your bar.
Yeah.
And say that they served good food at your bar. Like they only, and I'm not knocking Troy's kitchen over there. They just serve like hors d'oeuvres. So, but like you have a guest come in, they order a nice meal, and you have this behind the bar. What meal would it take for you to pour somebody this? What would it go well with?
That's a very hard question because.
Can I? Let me finish.
Oh yeah, sorry. I
sorry.
I actually thought you were finished.
I was, but now I'm not. I was, but now I'm not.
Hold on, let me finish.
Before you say anything, because you're really good at blocking out what my
your brain is thinking.
Well, no. Like if someone asked me that question, but then said, what would you do here? I would do this. Then I would like take what they think a little bit and like integrate it into what I'm thinking. You're very good at blocking that out. I would tell you this is like a perfect barbecue food thing type of me. Yeah. Perfect type of whiskey for like barbecue food for me. Like spoon bread and fucking brisket and like that type of thing. I could see it going well there. Or like a good like smokehouse burger or something like that.
There's nothing I would pair with this sooner than barbecue food, but the elevated proof makes it difficult in my mind for it to not overpower that food.
But like that rich, thick barbecue, like ribs or something, you think that would still hold up to that, right? Because it cut through like vinegar.
I mean, yeah. Like, you know, as long as whatever is going on in the food department is really charred and smoky and like has some black on it, I think that is what kind of meshes with the tannin of, for instance, a high alcohol red wine like a Cabernet that's oak aged.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's something that can hang with, you know, dare I say, a bourbon that has a little bit of that tannin too, that oak, the wood, you know, the sensation of the new barrel. But it's just never going to be the first thing that I want to pair with barbecue is like something that's above 115 proof. Not saying it can't work, and it's not. I'm also not saying it's something that I do on a regular basis. Like sit and I don't have a smoker. I don't grill or barbecue nearly as much as I would like to, and I don't, you know, sit and taste whiskeys and eat barbecue like on a basis where, you know, I would if I lived in fucking Austin, Texas or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
If I could, I would, but I don't.
Well, you know what I think pairs really well with this whiskey?
Quacka?
Can I say something before we do that?
Yes.
I think Jim Beam and Jimmy Dean should pair up because breakfast food.
Beam and Dean.
I don't know. Doesn't it taste like a smoked breakfast sausage?
Just breakfast sausage paired with a little book.
Yeah.
If they include like a little
Dude, can't you see? Dude, you sit down at an elevated Cracker Barrel. Not that the Cracker which means that it's a Cracker Barrel on crack, and like you have just like they killed the pig this morning and they made fucking breakfast sausage out of it. Pour yourself a glass of Little Book 6, and pour it on the sausage.
Are we starting a restaurant of just like
Jimmy Dean,
James Beam, Jimmy Beam?
Yeah, Jimmy Beam
and Dean,
J&J's sausage and bourbon.
I just want Little Book boxes like a secret compartment. You open up, it's just a
little piece of sausage in there, a little coupon. Anyway, Cracker Break.
And welcome back from a cocktail break. No, just kidding. A Cracker Break brought to you by our cracker friends, Yeasty Boy Bread Company. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Courtney. Check them out at farmers markets in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I think you should. But in all reality, this Cracker Break's brought to you by a joke. Ooh. Anthony.
What?
What's the difference between being hungry and being horny?
Oh, nothing.
Where you put the cucumber.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
That was a little dirty. I'm sorry.
Did you think... oh, my God. I'm just obviously envisioning something, you know.
This was a nice, mature...
You're supposed to make him belly laugh, not make him...
Gag.
Erect.
Gag on the...
This is a nice, family-friendly podcast until I ruined it. I'm sorry, everybody.
Erect. If I was erect, you wouldn't know. Anyway. See, that's how you make Troy belly laugh, guys. All right, Matt, what we got?
I actually don't know. What is this? Just kidding. This is Knob Creek 18-year-old whiskey. Look at it. It's a cool box. I simultaneously love and hate this box at the same time because I think it's super cool and unique, but it also kind of feels like it's missing something.
Yeah, it looks like it's just undermade. Like they ran out of parts like the rest of the world.
So this is the most interesting thing, which I think is kind of cool, is this lever in the back.
So you can like hang it on the wall?
No, so this bottle is stuck in there, right?
In case it does fall.
So you remove this, and then you have this custom little piece, and that's how you remove the bottle. I mean, it's kind of unnecessary.
They used the plastic clear pieces for Bookers. They couldn't just put a couple in there for that?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, and also, like, I kind of love it and hate it at the same time.
It looks cool. I mean, what is the gold plating on the...
So they also have,
they
have the Knob Creek Aged 18, just like a badge. It's actually metal. Kind of cool. And something cool. So, I don't know. Is this box, probably increase the value by $30, $20? They're probably justified it that way. But...
What's the MSRP on it?
$170. $169.99. Damn. So...
I have a feeling this might be a little bit of a gimmick.
I'm expecting not to love this. I'm going to be quite honest. I did not like... We did the blind in the 15-year in the thing, and I liked it more than I thought I did.
Yeah.
But I remember liking the 12 more than the 15. I think I still do.
Well, 18 years is a lot of
18
time
years.
for whiskey, man. It really is. Like, it really
So
is.
is 17.
Yeah.
And what do we think of the Heaven Hill?
That's true.
It was fucking great, but that's Heaven Hill. This is
So this is so this is another Jim.
I'm just saying,
Yeah,
man. What is that? You know,
name
what
a
is that?
bad Heaven Hill product. Name a bad James Beam product. How much time you got?
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth competing.
So here's,
You know?
I mean, that's what we're
here's
talking
the weird
about, though.
part. Maybe not weird. So this is the 30th anniversary. You know, this is the oldest expression they've ever made up to date. That's for like a quote unquote standard release, and it's still 100 proof.
Interesting.
So is that the perfect proof they released it at, or is that just them cutting costs? We don't really know. But I'm kind of curious to find out.
Wonder what the barrel entry proof was.
I don't know.
Well, let's pop it.
They say full body. That's their whole thing. It's like full bodied at 100 proof. We'll see if that.
Speaking of bodies,
God,
Yep.
gotta do this fucking thing, this whole deal again.
You have to do the wax.
are you still a James Beam fan after having to deal with all the wax? I will say,
God,
this little mosquito.
Little mesquites. This is the same mash bill, though. It's 75% corn, 13% rye, and 12% malted barley.
I will say that Jim does know how to package some shit down there. I mean, all the stuff looks nice. You know?
Did it pass the wax test? Because the other ones
just
crumble.
piling up a garbage pile of wax.
It's all right. I clean it up every time you leave.
Yeah, there's a... the Knob Creek's usually the wax, like crumbles. This one seems like it held up, so... Oh my God!
I love hearing the splash in the pan afterwards. It's just like you've been plugged up for 3 days, and that's like just the first like nugget that comes out. Just it had a pitch to it, man.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. The 30th year. Let's see if they know what they're doing still.
30th year anniversary of Knob Creek.
Apparently. Apparently.
What's the story with Knob Creek?
Well, it's all started with Jim Beam.
Thanks, Matt.
The man, the myth, the legend. Ever heard of Freddie No?
Yeah.
Oh, he's involved in here too.
Okay.
So they were wandering down the street one day, and they came upon this creek. They're like, "Hey, Dad, what's that?" And little Freddie's like, "That's a creek, Dad. What do you don't know what a creek is?" And then and they said, "Shut up, kid. You're nothing but a
knob gobbler."
You don't know your hand from a knob, kid.
And that's why this episode is called Knob Gobbler.
It couldn't possibly be.
Little Book the Knob Gobbler.
Little knob got little knob. Is this episode called Little Knobs? All right.
Oh, it smells more like bourbon than the other one.
It smells oaky. Smells a little sweeter.
It does smell sweeter.
It smells very oaky.
It definitely smells old.
Yeah.
Pretty inviting smell, though.
It smells like I think I'm going to like it. I wonder if 100 proof is just like, I don't know. Let's see.
You know what's funny is all the Pappy stuff's under 100 proof. And there's a quote from Pappy Van Winkle where it's like, well, why don't you make this 95 proof instead of 100 proof? He goes, I don't want to ship water all around the U.S.
There's also a quote from, is it Booker, who says anything, whiskey shouldn't be aged over 7 or 8 years, something like that. Some quote about that. Pretty funny. Well, Anthony?
That's my sweet spot, between like 7 and 10.
Yeah. Troy, you got anything to add to this?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
I've smelled it for like 10 seconds, not even.
Not even.
Maybe 4 seconds. Anthony's got a face on.
I like Anthony's faces.
Take your face off. I like the smell.
I like the smell.
I like the smell.
All right, we all like the smell.
Hey, I like the smell over here, eh?
Welcome to Stinker
All
Drinker
right.
Thinker.
I like the smell.
So what's next?
Yeah.
Next whiskey, please. I like the smell. Do you get like all right, not really. I got a little almost like strawberry, but it's like an underripe strawberry.
It's something there.
Strawberry bubblegum?
Strawberry bubblegum. Definitely tastes old.
But surprisingly thin at the same time.
I think it's the 100 proof. I think it is like,
Oh wow.
you get an impact of oak, and then it kind of like mellows out almost to wateriness, and then it comes in with sweetness, and then the oak comes back, and then kind of finishes.
Does.
It's super weird.
It's a little bitter.
Yeah.
It's spicier than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
The first initial thing I get is oak, and then it just really thins out, and there's just like this underlying watery sweetness, and then it comes back. It just literally everything you said is exactly one. There's not really too much to this. The only thing I'm thinking about is what fruit is that? I mean, it's just sweet, fucking.
It's like an underripe berry
with brown sugar, like Demerara berry,
Denverberry,
Demerary.
Dingleberry,
Demerara dingleberry.
Yeah.
Demadingle. Demadingleberry. All right.
What is that? Fairly Odd Parents. Dimdale Dimmadome. What is that? Dugsdale Dimmadome. Troy?
I can understand its high praise. Smooth, not very much burn, but complex, sweet, redeeming, and in all the ways that your other bourbons that you don't love as much might not be, or your other malt whiskeys, whatnot, might finish drier. Like this definitely gives you the satisfaction that you want from a bourbon. And it also gives you, obviously it gives you the age. I don't think that it's overly oaked to the point where I'm tasting nothing but the oak. Like there is the sensation of the dried fruits and of the caramel and the vanilla and the nut. It's like a bit of a candied walnut sort of deal. Do I wish it had maybe a little bit more oomph? Maybe. But it's and I'm sorry for jumping the gun here.
No,
you go for
that's
it.
what
It's
we're
just
doing.
very much a drinker.
Knob Creek 18 a drinker, according to Troy.
All right.
It could very well be more complex, and if it were, I'd call it a drinker thinker.
Yeah, and kind of to piggyback, I guess, on what I said about Little Book, where that is more of a I know, right?
It's gone.
Where that is more of a whiskey enthusiast's unique pour they want to share it and kind of get with friends and share with other enthusiasts. This is the other side of the coin, I think, where this is more like you want to impress somebody that just doesn't really know a lot about bourbon, but wants to enjoy it and sit down and drink it.
You'll like this.
Right. This is way more crowd pleasing. Just kind of straight down the middle, but a sharp right at the end, where that has a kind of the oaky intenseness to it. Yeah, it is much more of a drinker. I think significantly less of a thinker than the Little Book. I am also, I think, just going. I'm just going drinker. I could see it being a drinker thinker, but I'm just going drinker.
Cool. Yeah, I it's definitely a drinker, but that's not my final answer.
Okay. It's definitely not a drinker though. You can't deny that.
It's got drinkability.
Yeah.
And I'm trying my best to take the price tag and the alluring box out of all this, because that's what we try to do here. It's not worth $180 fucking dollars.
Right.
It's very unimpressive for a limited release 18-year-old whiskey. I probably wouldn't pay more than $65 for this, but it's super thin, and the fruit I've determined is not a fruit at all. It's a Luden's cough drop, a cherry flavored Luden's cough drop, which I love. That initial spank of oak followed by that thinness of after you just chewed a Luden's and swallowed it type of thing is there. The finish isn't really impressive at all. The proof is good though, and I definitely.
Can I get another pop?
I definitely could slug this, but
You sure may.
I think that I'm gonna have to call it a drinker stinker, and I think that a lot of that has to do with price tag.
We're not taking price into account.
But
yeah, no,
but it's an 18-year-old whiskey.
Okay.
And it's thin. And I don't think I've ever had an older whiskey that is just missing the midsection. Like, the midsection is the finish, and then there's another finish on top of it. Sorry, Trey, I was in the middle of talking, but I got you. Here, give me a little pop, too, while you're at it.
I need more.
Just a little pube hair of a pop, please.
Yeah.
But like, you guys, you know what I mean there? Like, when I say the mid palate is like, it almost tastes like it's dissipated in my mouth already. That's what the whiskey tastes like. It's
I think
gone.
the interesting for me is that it comes back.
It does come back.
That's
but
the
like,
interesting
it's
part.
just, I don't know.
Will this be different if it's, I don't know, if fresh cracks matter and they are a real thing? Will this, be different in the next year when I open it?
If this was a $35 whiskey, me and Troy, you guys should have seen what we did to a bottle of Buffalo Trace on Sunday, and we were stone cold sober. It's really getting out of hand with that, Troy. While we were in Kentucky, we played pool for one night. We played 6 rounds of pool. The whole bottle was gone. Buffalo Trace. We watched the Giants win the other day. We drank a whole bottle of Buffalo Trace, and we're sober. Maybe that's a cry for help.
So we're gonna announce dry week next week.
Stretch, yeah.
I mean, you had a nice buzz, but it's like anyway.
Not wasted.
So
my point is like I could drink on this, but like for a limited release whiskey, price aside, it's not impressive.
Taking the whiskey, just the whiskey into account. It's not that you don't. I'm trying to think if
there's $40 bottles here that I would grab before I grab that.
That's fair.
Yeah, and there's not many $40 bottles here because they get slugged. But anyway, I'm gonna drink some more of it. It by default has to go into the Affinity Drinker, which we'll do off episode. But
I think because I had very low expectations because I don't remember liking 15 all that much, although it was a little bit better when we did the blind. I think I'm pleasantly surprised with how much I like it more than I thought I would, personally. So that's for me is a little redemption.
Sure,
but would I pay $170 for this again? Probably not.
Nah, man, I don't think I ever would. The box is nice, whatever.
I spent a couple of solid weeks with the Knob 12.
Mm-hmm.
And
just get a round of applause for that. It took you weeks.
It should take you 1 week for every year that the bottle is. Nope. Hey, all right.
And okay.
I'm trying to turn it off. I'm trying here, guys.
Hey, I'm trying over here.
I'm trying over here. Anyway.
And this is, same proof?
I think so.
It's 100 proof, yeah.
They all are.
12's, the Select is 120, right?
They do higher proof for those, and they do like picks.
Store picks are usually barrel proof or
like
hotter.
120.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, because I've had that one too. But the 12-year was bitier in a way that I enjoyed, which is just very, very odd.
This has got some bite to it too. It's got like some spice bite type of thing, and it does grab you, but it just goes away. I don't know. It's weird. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed that one. It's not that I didn't enjoy it. It's just I just probably wouldn't go looking for this one if it was me.
It is you.
Granted, if I saw it, the wallet just fucking comes out. I can't control it. But anyway,
I think this is if you liked 12 and you have the extra cash, get it. But other than that, if you don't like Knob Creek, you're probably not gonna like it.
Yeah. All right, guys, that was fun. What do we got coming up? We got another Cocktail Doctor episode coming up with some autumn-style cocktails. Our good friend Adam Vanderswag, the gentleman, submitted a cocktail that me and Troy literally have been jerking each other off about for the past week. We're finally going to make it. Like,
I don't want to know what that looks like, but all right.
I will show you right here.
Boy, all right.
Sorry, Shelby. We have a new editing person who's editing all our videos, part of the team now, Shelby Price. Round of applause. Look at this. Look at that. I hit the right button.
You did it.
Hit the right button. So we're trying to be less vulgar. It's not working.
It is actually.
Really?
We failed significantly. But you know what?
But she's just not going to edit any of this out. We'll get canceled real quick.
She's going to post it on a different thing and like, oh, this is what they're really like.
Next thing you know, we're a Reddit thread. Fuck those guys. Anyway. But yeah, so we're going to do that coming up. And then keep your eyes peeled. We got a couple cool things in store for you over the next few weeks as far as giving you stuff. And just also, we've been collecting. We got a lot of cool bottles that me and Matt are both eager to dive into. And I think when he goes down,
round.
we should do a lightning round.
We put like 6 bottles out. We have the smallest pour. We just,
you know what we should
initial
do?
taste.
Remember what we did at your birthday? Where we had a table and we just did ring toss. We should do whiskey ring toss here on an episode.
Whiskey toss?
Yeah, that's coming up. The next episode you see besides 2 episodes from now, number 64 or whatever. God, time flies when you're getting drunk.
What if I don't like that idea?
I don't care.
Doesn't matter. 2 to 1.
Stay home. Yeah, ring toss. I didn't like this whiskey. It's still going in the fucking decanter, isn't it?
Oh my God.
Anyway, but yeah, we appreciate all of you. Please keep liking, subscribing, viewing, sharing, 5-star reviews to prevent your children's death. All of that. Greatly appreciate you guys. Until next time, Troy, lead us out.